Well, hello, everyone. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Let's see here. Anna, good to see you. Russ, happy you're here, my brother. Seventh Son, always a pleasure. Sandy Wandy, Sharon. Hello, Shell. Charlie Murphy, JJ Bird, good to see you. Moni69, Zena Turner. Azuren, Third Eye Open, good to see you. The News Nut, Atypical Paul, Lene. Let's see, who else we got? Carolyn, good to see you. Mile High Hokey. Monk, good to see you. Sharon, Tina, hippie chick, hippie chick. And my brother from another mother on the other side of the planet, Mr. Alan Valentine. Always great to have you here. Care Bear, good to see you. Pretty sure I saw Taekwondo back there as well. Good to see you. Jennifer Lemke, Rhonda, Lisbeth, Lori Hart, not to be confused with Corey Hart. Anyone? Bueller? Nothing. Okay. Corey Hart reference. It's all right, y'all. I get it. Some of us are a little longer in the tooth, so to speak. Tampa B. Did someone just say Tampa B, man? Let's see. Did I see that? Maybe I didn't. Well, I'll be on the lookout. 80s singer. Yeah, right. There's Tampa B. Tampa B, if I apologize, if I offended you yesterday with my putting you on blast after seeing you on the protest down in Florida, I apologize. But I calls them the way I sees them. Who said that? It was a fairly famous baseball player. I can't think of who it is, but he said I calls them the way I sees them. And, I'm sorry, Tampa B is wow. Yep. She's a smoke show. Looking forward to meeting you as well. I really am. Kiwi Nation, right? Good to see you. His Real Lights. Nice. Kelly B, 69. Good to see you. Snot Face. Killy Billy. Queen of Awkwardness. Beth Snow. Greetings to all moderators and crew. Peace, mind. Jam. Tree-hugging Buddhist. Cheshire Cat. I am tempted to bust into song today, people, as you may or may not know. I had to go and get looked at. Did a little look, did a little of the getting looked at kind of a thing, and here I am, feeling like $1 million. I also will be looked at later, about a week from now, right? But just keeping you sort of in the loop. You don't necessarily need to know all of the details, but I am keeping you in the loop. Third Eye Open. Become a YouTube member. One of the reasons I think it's important to keep you in the loop is if you put me in a very small tube, say a toothpaste tube, or a phone booth, or, I don't know, pick something really small, about 5 feet in length, and not quite wide enough for my wide shoulders, right? There's only one way to get me inside those things, people, and I'm not going to lie to you. It is with Prince Valium. So, sorry, I may or may not be sleeping off or coming off a slight, very slight Valium dose that they needed in order to do that. Tampa B, you probably did miss somebody. It's impossible nowadays to say hi to everybody in the chat. Back in the day when there's 35 of us, boy, your feelings could get hurt if somebody popped in here and didn't say hello to you, especially if it's somebody that you've known a long time and you're like, man, I always say hi to that person. Even if I see them in other chats, I always say hi. Why did they miss me? Guess what, people? We're not going to do any of that here, right? We're balling immaculate, folks. Seriously, we're in the tall weeds, right? With the big dogs. This is we are to the point where the chat is moving very quickly. And for that reason, it gets a little bit tougher to say hello to everybody. But I think everybody knows deep down that you want to shoot them a hey, how are you? Right? So if we missed anybody, just know we love you. And you are seen. It's just that sometimes you're seen briefly because stuff is really screaming by. MRI, PET, there's a lot of different things that they got to stick you in that tube for, right? There's a lot of different brain imaging things that they can do. They got some that are very cool that actually take a look at your brain while it's functioning. Like in theory, they're looking at more like a video of what's going on in the brain whilst your brain is working. They're actually taking pictures of the stuff going on. Very, very cool, right? Unless, of course, you got a brain like mine, which doesn't really do a whole lot of working anyway. Before the real deal MRI. Well, I'll be damned. I didn't know about that. Test magnets, you say. Jam. Third eye open first, and then jam. You two both look fantastic in green. Thank you, ensigns. It is an honor to have you on board. It is going quickly. And I know that you guys hate it when we slow it down. But if we don't slow it down, you will really hate it. Dark sarcasm. I am glad you are here. I'm claustrophobic, and when I have to get an MRI, my doctor gives me lorazepam. Too close for comfort there. Lorazepam is Ativan. And Ativan, like a lot of benzos, come from really, really weak to knock you right out. And everything in between. Sarah, I'm not a big fan of the Valium Buzz either. To me, it is remarkably like beer. You know, it's kind of like that kind of a thing. It's an alcohol kind of a buzz, and that's never really been my, not really my thing. Tommy, it's Jen Marie here. This is my nickname to Tampa's French fry. I'll be damned. I didn't know this. See, you're confusing me, right? The sad thing is you may have told me that 2 or 3 times already. And if so, I apologize. You know, like I have cheat sheets up around the desk. So I will say Misha instead of Misha, right? Nevertheless, and I love Misha. She's one of my favorite people on the boat. Truthfully, means the world to me. And there's an excellent chance I'm going to call her Misha this week because I'm just not firing on all cylinders anymore, people, which is a bit of a bummer. On the bright side, you know what? I feel like we're still moving forward and we're still doing really good things. I honestly believe that. And that's important to me. You know, I want to feel like we're always putting out a good product. You know, I want to feel like what we're doing is bringing in people because, you know, the connection is huge, but that the guy sitting in the chair is not a complete dolt, you know? Yeah, you know, great example in anything, right? In any genre, there's going to be a group of people that kind of rise to the top, right? They end up with channels that are more popular or more people show up to them. And if they're live, especially, the people that tend to become successful are the ones that come off the most real. Aaron, for instance, right? Like you watch Aaron and you're not thinking to yourself, man, I bet he's a lot different when the camera's off, right? Or if you look at my brother Johnny, you watch him and you're not thinking, oh yeah, when they yell cut, he turns into the world's biggest jerk or he doesn't eat capsaicin anymore. When you start to believe that the person you're watching is the same, whether they're on or whether they're off, then you can start to build a relationship and you can start to care, I think, a little bit more about, you know, about people. And I've always found that, you know, Aaron was that way. It was one of the reasons that my brother was first drawn to his channel. Yeah, he actually found Aaron before I did. Sorry. Thank you so much, Lisa Trimble. Lisa Trimble, you know, I had after the last show that we did, I had no less than a dozen people that reached out that said, you know what, I don't know that I want my name out there or whatever, but will you please just tell Lisa Trimble that she's my hero? And that was the gist. 2 or 3 said that verbatim, but the gist of all of them were, it's amazing what you do and what you do for so many people. And then a lot of people see it. It should be real obvious for people like me. but there's a lot of people in the chat that see the generosity too, and it's just, man, it's humbling as hell, and I'm trying to get better at it. I really am, but you know what? It means the world to me. I just absolutely means the world to me. So I've been playing with more watches again, people, because I'm doing this thing where I have to historically put watches on characters for the upcoming film. Very, very cool gig. There's nothing more fun than having that job, because it's like being a consultant, but at the same time you get to either buy or sell or rent the watches. But I scored this one, right? So Gerard Perregaux, right? Let's see here if I can do it that way. So as clean as that thing is, right? As clean as that looks, that watch was made in the 40s, right? Absolutely perfect. Dial's never been retouched. And I scored this thing in South America. Normally, because of the salt water, they get really torn up. But I know they're going to end up using this in the movie. And it made my day. I was so happy, people. You got no idea. And if they don't, I'm going to sell it. But I have a feeling that they will wind up using it in the movie. Umpire Hellman said, I calls them like I sees them. Lots of love. Was that Hellman? Thank you. Thank you, Care Bear. I never would have got that. Because even now when you say it, Hellman, huh? I calls them like I sees them. I love that. I really do. And thank you for your support and your nugget of knowledge. So my brother calls those nuggets of knowledge. Let's see here. Tommy, do you have experience with HPPD? I struggle with this daily from years of hallucinogen abuse. Thanks for your input. HPPD. I know what this is, but I don't know why I can't think of it. HPP. This is sad, but this is my my lot. Sadly, I do know what you're talking about. I can't think of what the acronym stands for at this point. This is something I don't know what your honestly, I don't know what your life was like. If you were torn with fish, right? Or if you were torn with the dead, or if you were just one of those dudes that was doing an awful lot of acid or a lot of mushrooms, or what your trip drugs were. But you can really abuse yourself with that stuff. I always say that it is not a drug that people abuse. And I do mean that. And the reason that people don't abuse it is because your body has to really kind of get everything back together so that it can have a good trip, right? If you try doing it all the time, you run out of the feel-good chemicals in your body, and then you're eating a tremendous amount of the drug and not getting much of an effect. So that's what I mean by it's not a drug that most people abuse. However, it can absolutely lead to things like HPPD and disorders where you're going to pay for those trips along the way. Killy Billy, I cannot believe for a hot second you wanted to do this twice. So it is possible, and you should do it, to contact your credit card company and say, hey, man, they billed me twice on that. People have done that before, and they reach out to me, and I will say, yeah, man, that's messed up. I don't want you to get billed twice for that, man. Seriously. Save that. Maybe the next time you got a question or something, but contest one of those, please. Went 3 days clean this week and relapsed. Weird that I felt so much better clean. No, it's not. It would have been weird if you didn't feel better clean. Drugs don't make you feel better. It's the biggest fallacy in the world. I convinced myself of that for 3 decades. The only way I could be happy was with dope. The only way I could be happy was by one fix at a time, right? That's how it worked. Well, that's BS. It is. It's BS. And not only are you not buying happiness, you're buying misery. You say, well, that doesn't make any sense, Tommy. Oh, but it does. You see, your brain wants to be at that base level. It doesn't want to do great because it doesn't know how to deal with that. And it doesn't want to crap the bed either because it doesn't know how to deal with that. It wants you just at that baseline that is, I can afford the roof over my head, but I don't have a dollar in my pocket. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Now, this is not everybody. This is just one example. For some people, it's, you know what? If I make $250,000 in a month, I'm going to spend $300,000. When I worked as a public speaker, it did not matter how much they paid me. It didn't matter how much my commissions were. No matter how much money I made, I spent $5,000 more than that each month. And it was amazing because if that dollar amount was 35,000 and I had just started and I thought, oh my God, that's all the money in the world. I'll never spend all that. Like I wouldn't even know what to spend it on. And within 3 months, as fast as it's coming in, it's going out, right? And you get all kinds of bills and things paid. But it's the same principle, right? You start to spiral out of control. You start to go down that, right? But of course, you're going to feel better clean. Of course, you are. The question becomes, right? Why'd you relapse? And I'm not busting your chops at all. Not mad at you, right? But if you're journaling, you can go back and you'll know exactly what it is that made you at day 3 say, you know what? I'm going to reward myself. Hell, I made it 72 hours, right? I've earned a buzz. If you can figure that out and you can stretch that out to a week, by the way, that's harm reduction. If you had been getting wasted every single day, right, 7 days a week, and you took 3 days off, that's harm reduction. That's moving in the right damn direction. Oh, they hate it when I say that. Oh, they hate it when I say that. They want everybody teetotalers, abstinence, right? No drugs, no tobacco, no nothing. Don't drink, don't do this, don't do that. For the love of God, don't smile. If you're a farter, please give that up, right? Look, man, there are things that you shouldn't do. I agree with that 100%. If you don't have a problem with alcohol, then don't worry about it. But you know deep down, everybody knows deep down. If you got a problem with your substance, if your substance owns you, you don't own it. All right, take care of it. Handle your business. Make sure you get it back under control. This should not be a concept that should be too hard for people. Agreed? Is it me? It's not me, is it? Is it normal to need to replace my Tag and Cartier watch battery every year? It's that time again. No, absolutely not. It should be 5 years, unless I would have to know exactly what kind of how many functions these watches do. If it happens to be a chronograph where it does, it's doing 4 different things. But if it's a normal run of the mill, 3-hander where it's telling you the hours, the seconds, the minutes, and maybe a date, no, it should last 5 to 10 years on a battery. Often they put you can buy batteries. I'm not bagging on any country, but I can buy batteries made in China for about 25 cents a piece, right? They're not worth a fart, but I can get tons of them at 25 cents a piece. The ones I buy tend to be about $9, but they last a very, very long time. No, that's not normal at all, Tampa Bay. But if you're having problems with that, send me a direct message and I can probably help you out with that. It is what I do. My other's keeper. Do you love that? Tommy Bird, do you love that? Somebody put that up there, could you? Somebody put up a link to that. Question, what is your opinion on the use of mushrooms for PTSD? I believe mushrooms are cutting-edge stuff for the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I think it's showing more promise than almost anything in the world when it comes to treating people who are coming back from war and places like that. I think it's absolutely amazing. Okay? That said, don't buy a friggin' bag of mushrooms, go home and eat it and think you're going to get this figured out. You could do way more damage than good. The people who are having success because they're working with a team of individuals who know what they're doing. The doses are worked out to a very specific amount. And more importantly, or as importantly, before they get rolling, they spend about a week to 10 days getting ready, talking about what the goal is during the trip, so to speak. It's not like you did it in the old days where you ate 5 or 6 grams and then went to the parking lot before, a Grateful Dead concert. If you treat this the way that they encourage you to do it, I think that there's a lot of potential there. Rogue, I think there's some great science backing that up. I think we need to see a little bit more, right? Because now they're starting, the stigma's wearing off, so more people are starting to do some better experimenting, but it's showing a lot of progress, a lot. And I was anti any of that when I started, but I've come a long way in realizing that it's not such a bad thing. Sorry. Hold on. You know what, people? One moment. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. One moment. Okay, now, hopefully nothing is hanging in the mustache. It's always a little stressful. Always truthfully a little bit stressful. By the way, that's a great question. That really was. That was a very, very good question. Kristen says, thank you for celebrating the harm reduction. Though I struggle with all or nothing, black or white thinking. A lot of people do, and if that's what you feel for yourself, I understand. But logic has to start to make a play at some point. So when you say, I was sober for 1 year, and on the 1 year anniversary, I drank 9 beers, and I knew I made a mistake, and I got up the next day. I was hating myself, and now I got to start from scratch, right? I have 1 day of sobriety. I prefer to think in the last 366 days, you drank once. That's a hell of a batting average, right? That is a hell of a batting average. So instead of letting it bum you out so bad that you just start the process again, maybe get up, dust yourself off, and say, hey, I'm going to make it 2 years, right? Before I do anything stupid like that ever again. Or I'm never going to do that again. But if you're journaling and you're actually doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in order to work through this thing we call recovery, peel back the layers of the onion to find out what is causing your symptoms like smoking crack, shooting heroin, right? Drinking every day after work until you don't know where you are. Those are symptoms. Those aren't the problem. I know that doesn't make sense in the beginning, but it's the truth. And you know how I know that? Because I've helped people get that crazy chemical out of their life. I said, look at that, man. You haven't had a drink in what? 3 months? Life's perfect. I trust you. I know you're not drinking. I feel confident. I can leave you to your life and everything's going to be great, right? Everything's going to be great. I promise you, Tommy. And then I get a phone call from his wife, and his wife says, I don't know what's up, man. I said, he's getting high again? I don't think so. I said, then why are you calling? Because it's the same kind of behavior, but he doesn't look wasted, but he's doing the same stuff over and over again. He picked up online gambling, got himself a real sports book habit, because the problem, the underlying problem, doesn't get treated if we get rid of the first one, right? If we got rid of beer altogether, no alcohol on the planet like that, do you think everybody with alcohol use disorder would be set for life? I promise you they wouldn't. They will find something else to make them comfortable in their own skin. The other option is figuring out what the problem is and fixing it so that you can be comfortable in your own skin without having to pay for it. A lovely concept, I promise you. A lovely concept if you can do it. Very, very nice. But it's a process, and it's a process that is difficult. All right? It's not easy. Tommy, I'd like to get a cool pocket watch, one that closes. Any advice on where I could find one of these? And yes, it's an Alice thing. I don't know. I got a few hundred of them. Why don't you send me an email if you're interested in a pocket watch? Send me an email. Put that in the subject heading, and I'm sure I can find you something. I literally have hundreds of them. So we'll get something figured out, and it better be an Alice thing. Everything is an Alice thing, right? They're all Alice things. Yeah, Heather McLaughlin says, mental health, 1 second at a time. Graduating to 1 minute takes as long as you need. Yeah. Or I have friends that got off the planet doing 1 day at a time. I don't know whether it was how long they did drugs or what the story was, but their model required them to literally do this one day after day. And I my heart bled for them because I wanted them to just But you know what? They were not a slave to that substance. In a snowstorm, they didn't have to pull on boots and try to trudge 2.5 miles, right, to go sit in the parking lot and wait for dope. And waking up in the morning when you're sick and you're having a terrible day and you're fighting with your wife or your significant other, your husband, and your kids are driving you nuts and you got to let the dog out. And you think, you know what? It couldn't get any worse than this morning. This morning sucks. And then you get that realization that I don't have to go get dope. And this really is not that bad a damn morning. I'm the dude that when it's raining outside and people are screaming and pissing and moaning about it, I'm looking up with a big grin on my face. I got my arms out like this. You know what I mean? Yes. I spent way too much time looking out of windows thinking I'd go out there in that rain if I could right now. I'd like to go out in that rain and just spin around like a little kid in circles and feel it hit my face, That's all I wanted to do. So when it rains here, I'm not pissing and moaning about some rain. I'm not going to complain about some snow. I'll joke, but man, I love it. I love it. People, the life lesson is this. Truthfully, the life lesson that I can bring, if there's anything you can learn from me, because I'm not a guru, I'm not Tony Robbins, I'm not a genius, but I can tell you that freedom is absolutely wasted on the free. Because I know so many people who have the ability to do anything they want in life, and they're just pissing it away because they've built a jail, a prison cell of their own making, right? They're voluntarily keeping themselves in a prison cell made by malted hops, right? Or a marching powder made from coca leaves, right? And petrochemical products. Or whatever else, right? Put in your favorite drug here. How about a couple of fellas you knew from high school who got C's and D's in chemistry class, but are in your garage with a little anhydrous ammonia, right? And some ephedrine tablets and maybe a little bit of Coleman fuel. Let's get this stuff cranked back out. And you know what we'll do? We'll blow off a batch. All of us will be putting this stuff in our veins by midnight. And why not? Because that makes sense, doesn't it? Give me some uric acid, right? Give me some red phosphorus, some blue iodine crystals, Let's get all this and put it all together, right? Any ingredient, one at a time, would kill you. But let's mix them together and inject them. World we live in, huh? It's getting a little strange, isn't it, people? It's getting a little strange, isn't it? Question from Shannon Smith and myself, asking the lifeboat, how do we look into shrooms to help with our post-traumatic stress disorder? Hold on. No, I'm kidding. What you want to do is get online and look up psilocybin, right? Psilocybin therapy, mushroom therapy, PTSD therapy using hallucinogenics. And you will come across some nationwide companies, right? And they will recommend, they'll say, what part of the country are you in? And they will put you in contact with doctors who will start the process. You're not going to go, oh, hey, doc, I have PTSD. I'd like to come down and be tripping by 3:00. It's not like that. This is very much treated as a medical procedure. It's just that we happen to be taking in a drug that is psilocybin cubensis. I thought Casey Stengel said, I calls him the way I sees him. Beth O'Toole, you could be right. I'm not sure who said that. It is a thing, Shambot. It's absolutely a thing. I know that this sounds nuts, and there are people who say I'm crazy. It is an absolute thing. There are people for whom You give them a watch battery, brand new, put it in a watch, and they'll have that thing dead within a day or two tops. I have also worked with people that I will get the watch, put it on a time grapher, which is a device that tells me how accurate or inaccurate the watch is. And then I adjust it and I get it to where it's keeping perfect time, which is within, 4 or 5 seconds a day, plus or minus. I give that person the watch. 25 minutes later, it's done. Done. Doesn't mean it won't run, but it runs so erratically that it's dropping 4 hours a day, 3 hours a day. And you go, I obviously made a mistake. And you go back in and you fix it. And then I say, I'm not going to give it to you because I want to make sure that there's not. So I want to wear the thing for 2 weeks. I wear it for 2 weeks. Everything's perfect. I give it to him. 5 hours later, he calls me. Thing's toast. Same thing. And what we came to realize is it wasn't that watch. It was any watch, any mechanical watch we put on this dude's arm, and something having to do with his whatever, right? Something having to do with his electrical field or his chemical or whatever absolutely destroys watches. It's a thing. It is absolutely a thing. Wow, Renee, what a cool thing to say. I honestly, do you have any idea what that means to me? Renee says, Tommy, you're number 2 on my YouTube sub listing after Aaron. That is high praise, people. It really is. That's an honor to be up there with my friend Aaron. He's obviously Aaron's a rock star, and what he's doing is some serious damage to that cult. He really is. He's doing some serious damage to that cult, and I'm so lucky to have come across the guy's path. It has enabled me to meet so many great people. The vast majority of you came through that, that luck. And by the way, people have begun to come to me and say, hey, I do have someone that wants to talk to you, right? I threw that out kind of almost joking around. If you know somebody that you can get me in contact with who's in news or who's in anything and you think you got a leg in, well, people are actually reaching out to me on that. Which I was pretty blown away on. And somebody else, when I said I'm struggling and, I lost a block of time and it got kind of frightening. And I talked about it and I said, people, I'm not planning on leaving tomorrow. I'm just trying to explain that some of my struggles will make a little bit more sense if you kind of know what it is that I am going through. Correct. So as I started to, to go down that road and started to, pretty sad, people, but I don't have any idea where I was going with that. Sorry. It may come back. It may not. Seriously, where did Tommy go? The other Tommy? Yeah, this morning was very difficult. It's not something that I want to, it's not something I ever want to come on and talk about. It really isn't. But it reaches a point sometimes where you have to, right? Because if the product suffers, if it's something that causes me to not be able to do what I'm doing well anymore, then that's a problem. And missing something in the middle of a show, that's not a big deal. It really isn't. But if I say to somebody, guess what? I'm going to make a phone call so that I can get you set up to get you in for medical assisted treatment, at 3:00 tomorrow, and I do something to cause that to not happen. That would really be awful. That would be dangerous. And that's not something that's all that was, people. And I don't want anybody to get super bummed out about it. I really don't. I promise you, I'm not going anywhere. I really am not going anywhere. LJ, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the super sticker, the support. I love you guys. If the world stumbles, I love dancing in the rain, but it's flooding around here this week. There's a lot of places that seem to be getting quite a lot of rain. It's been pretty heavy in a lot of parts of the country. Normally, I'm a pretty big fan of the rain. When it starts getting to the point where driving through it is frightening, all of a sudden it's not nearly as much fun, right? I no longer enjoy it at that point. Anik Alexander, good to see you. I appreciate you and all you do. Anik does a lot to help out the the lifeboat. And I really do appreciate that. Do I have a bunch of fancy vests for my pocket watches? I do not. And I'll tell you why. Because this pocket right here, right? This pocket right here is actually a pocket watch pocket. That is called a that little thing is made for a pocket watch. That is the watch pocket. And a pocket watch, a size 18 or a size 12 or whatever, a men's pocket watch fits perfectly into it. And then I just hook it up to a belt loop so that if by some chance it falls out, my chain will keep it in place. I very rarely wear it in the breast, though. But I do carry pocket watches often. I really do. I carry them often. I'm a fan. I really am a fan. Riley's Human just got here. Happy Friday. Well, we're glad that you're here. Welcome. Thank you. I'm so glad that you are here and that you found the lifeboat. I mean that. It's I love the fact that we're growing, but the fact that we grow with people that just seem to get it. We're very blessed that there's not this huge learning curve of people who come in and you have to kind of break them of habits about the other internet. And I think that's a tribute probably to Aaron and to Reese and to all of the creators within SPTV, that it just tends to be a nicer audience, right? I mean, there are some factions out there that don't care for some of us, but it is what it is, right? Stop it. Hey, Tommy, Diana from the courthouse finally caught alive. Wishing you all the best. Stay strong. What she means is Diana from the courthouse and from the protest. The one of the reasons that we have as many people as we have on the boat is because I cheated and got my phone out of the bag that they lock your phone in, right? And Diane, when I did, Diane went, "Oh, you're busted," because it made a horrendously loud sound, right? I had this thing and I'm leaning over and she said, "I got away with it once. If you do it right, it's not that loud." And I'm leaning over like this and I'm cranking on this thing and you hear, "Ah!" It's the loudest noise in the whole world. And everybody in the court goes and turns and looks at me, including the judge, the bailiff, all of them. And I'm doing this like it wasn't me. And I got from Diana, I got the, "Ooh, you're busted." And it really was awful. It was very, very loud. But I pretended to kind of get it put back together. And when it came time to leave, I was able to just kind of throw him the bag and run outside. And that was what got Alan Ballantyne and myself to get that thing up and running as fast as possible. You know what I mean? We had the news of Danny's sentence up fast. We got about 3,000 people that day. It was a real kind of plus for for the boat. Taekwondo for Life says, "What's the cost?" I don't remember what we were talking about, sadly. So, but if I had to guess, I would say quite a bit. Right? Starfish says, "I know a great doctor in Tucson that runs a ketamine clinic. He used to be my PCP. Very ethical and good." Thank you, Starfish. If you want to, if you guys want to reach out, maybe through one of the other platforms, so you can get some contact info about that. So you can, I think you should research everything. If you're going to go down that road and you're going to start looking for, medical treatment to get you through some of the harder, traumas, then research all of it. Research ketamine, research MDMA, research, psilocybin, all of it, right? All of it, and see what works best for your particular brand of, PTSD. Tommy, what do you know? What do you know what a cat J in Ali is? I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry, David. I have no idea what you're talking about. If it's something that is relatively new, I went away for a really long time. You know what I mean? I went to prison and was gone for, way over a decade. So Anything that happened, kind of during that time, I'm not great with. Yeah, I've got a watch issue. I absolutely have a watch issue, big time. But they're fun. I give them away to friends. It's one of the great things ever to be able to give to people. Lori Hart says, my dad bought a self-winding Seiko in Japan and it never ran, but mom wore it for years and it was fine. The self-winding Seikos that are made in Japan are some of the best watches going. They were manufactured under a different name over there, right? They were the Oddbon. The Oddbon Seikos are just really, really a cut above. They have features that nothing else has. I actually have one of them. They're very, very hard to find in the US, but I do have one. Not for sale. I guess everything is for sale, but it's not one that I'm trying to get rid of, I guess I should say. Sorry. We're keeping up. Hi, Carrie. Wow, am I behind? But that people, I blame this completely on me. Is there a way we can, Tommy? Is there a way we can get Spanx to you quicker? Is there a way to get Spanx to me quicker? Not sure if I understand that question. Captain, my captain, keep destroying failure with connection. Can't chat at daughter's basketball game. Love you. Mark Wages, we love you, my brother. Co-captain of the lifeboat. People, if you were not here in the beginning, this is a gentleman that sat in the captain's chair as well and was pivotal in building this boat from the very beginning and will always be the other captain here. Big love for Mark Wages. Is there a way we can get Spanx to you quicker? Tree hugging Buddhist. I'm not sure if I know what that means. Looking good in green. Looking good in green. I like it. I like it. I haven't busted into an 80s hit in a long time. It's got to have been at least a day, yeah? Hey, Crazy Brumfield, good to see you. Wharton Thistle? Oh, wow, Purple Groovy, congrats. How was it? Did I miss Purple Groovy? What did we do here? Crystal Purple Persuasion. Oh, Purple Groovy, you got behind the wheel for the first time in 3 years. Congratulations. That takes incredible courage. It really does. That takes incredible courage. Good for you. I would imagine it was nerve-wracking in the beginning. I hope that it started to feel kind of like riding a bike, though. Nico is at 1 month journaling. It is not easy, but I'm doing it. You will not regret this. I promise you, Nico. You will never regret this. You will never regret this. Nobody says, I never should have started that. It will make your life better every single time. I promise you. Oh, help getting Spanx to me quicker. Oh, that's a great question. I'm sorry. There are some things that can be done to help with that. And I will probably post them tomorrow because Calhouni is actually working on stuff like that. And we might want to make a bit of a tour on the way so that we can stop and catch a couple of crew members. We do have to drive through, a couple of different states. It would seem like a waste if we didn't at least meet some people. You know what I mean? Question. When I journal, should I journal anything specific? How do I know what to write? Okay, I think I saw another one very similar that says, I don't know how to journal. I just end up doodling. Well, doodling isn't going to get it done. Sorry, doodling is good, but it's not journaling. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk real quick about journaling. All right, here's how Tommy journals. right? There are two things that I do every single day. The rest of it is me, and it works out during the day. I write things down. If I need to work through something later, I take notes because that's a big thing for me. However, everybody, and I mean everybody, when you get home at the end of your day, get out your notebook, right? Before you go to bed, start to write down everything that happened during your day. You follow me? Because all you're really trying to do is organize what happened during the day so that when you go to sleep, right, the night shift comes on and it is going to work through all of the stuff that you didn't get through during the day. Capiche? The night crew subconsciously is going to work through the stuff that you need to work through. Then, when you wake up in the morning, if you happen to be lucky and you wake up right after you dreamt the last dream that you needed to, and the night shift got everything done, you walk out and you're just walking on sunshine. Life's perfect. It doesn't work that way. You can't schedule your dreams. Well, you wake up when you wake up, plain and simple. So when you wake up, instead of writing down everything, just info down. Get the pen, put it to the paper, start writing. I don't care what it happens. It's life-changing because now what's happening is when you leave the house and you start your day, everything that was unfinished from the night before gets put down onto a piece of paper and out of here where it's wreaking havoc and creating what? Ants. Automatic negative thoughts that will tear you apart. We get them out, right? We get the crap that's in our head kicking the crap out of us out of our dome. We put it down on paper. We do it at night before we go to bed so that we can organize, so that our dreams are more succinct, make more sense, and we get it done, right? In the morning, we dump everything so that when we start our day, we don't have all of that crap from the night before. Yes, my friend Q did get me into journaling. Mara, you can pretty much count on the fact that if there's something in my life that I'm doing that is not stupid, Q got me into it. Question. Do I go back and review the journal? And if so, when? Okay, now that's, it's unique for everybody. I go back and read my journal every time I feel like the canary in the coal mine is showing me that there's a problem. You understand the concept? Back in the day, because canaries don't do well breathing even tiny amounts of carbon dioxide, they would put canaries in cages down in the coal mine. They sing all day long. When they stop singing, you better get the hell out of there because the birds will die before the human beings did. And it would give the humans about 10 minutes to get to the surface. I don't think it's fair to the birds any more than you do. But the term, the canary in the coal mine, comes from that. And it is the outlier. It is the thing that is going to show you something is wrong before things explode, right? So when the outliers start to show me that I'm not doing right, like I find myself saying, F my life. If I'm saying that, there's something wrong. Or if I'm throwing things, or if I'm cursing more often, or if I'm not very patient and I'm snapping at people and I'm doing things that I normally don't do, right? Well, then that's a problem. So what I need to do is I need to go back and start looking at my journal. And sometimes you got to keep going back. But I promise if you've been doing this for any length of time, or if you dedicate yourself to it, you're going to go, oh, right here. This is where I went off the rails. And do you know how I know that? Because I repeated it 4 more times over the course of the next 3 days. I kept bringing it up. Boy, I cannot believe that guy Craig said that crap to me. I should have just punched him in the face that day. Then you go about your day, right? You write down what you're going to do. You get up in the morning, and then, that Craig SOB, honestly, every time I look at him, I'm seeing him across the room. Okay, guess where you got off the rails? When Craig did something to piss you off, not going and dealing with it, right? Pulling it all inside, right? Keeping it away from everybody else. If you had instantly head over there and headed off at the pass, hey man, I'm feeling some kind of way about the confrontation that we just had. I don't like the way it came out. It seems like we're not doing a pretty good job here, right? Communicate goes a really long way. Q read an awful lot. He absolutely read an awful lot. And he studied, and he was open-minded. So he read things like Eastern philosophies, and he read stuff like, almost every religious text out there. And he just really opened his mind to a lot of different possibilities. And I think what he walked away from after a lot of years of education is that he does not hate anybody, and the root of all evil is hate. Right? That's the common denominator. If what you're doing is pushing you toward love and in that direction, then you're doing the right thing. And if what you're doing is moving you farther away from that, then you're doing the wrong thing, whether that's a YouTube channel, whether it's a job that you have, whether it's a cult, a church, right? If they're pushing you away from things that you normally thought were really good stuff, run, right? Can you do an audio journal? I'm dyslexic, and getting my dreams onto paper is hard to keep up with my thoughts. Yeah, you can absolutely do it by speaking into it. And there's a lot of apps on the phone that will allow you to do that. Christina, my writing is horrific. I have some real struggles with my ability to write. I've been open about this, right? I can speak a lot differently than I can write. Now, I didn't have the ability to use a talk to write device while I was incarcerated, right? But that was the most important part of my journaling. So I developed a shorthand. There are words that I know no one else in the world would be able to read, but I know what it means, right? And maybe I misspelled the hell out of that, but I know exactly what it means, right? So as long as you can read it, right, then you can make any shorthand you want, because this is never to impress anybody else. This is never to impress anyone else. This puppy right here, right? This is your therapist. This is your $125 an hour therapist. Instead of going and sitting down and having them ask you questions, sit down and start the process of writing. And when you find yourself stuck, ask yourself, how does that make you feel? Right? Because that's what they would do. So save yourself a buttload of money and a buttload of time, and you can do it yourself. This is a great question. Will journaling help me remember my dreams? I rarely recall anything, but I get glimpses during the day of dreams, but I can't grab onto it enough to remember. This, if you are shooting for this, it is a very easy thing to do. But you have to have that notebook directly by the side of your bed. And if you wake up for any reason, you get up to pee, you get up to roll over, you get up for whatever, and you're awake, hit that thing and write down whatever. Don't try to make sense. Just write it down. And the words can be a jumbled mess of crap. But the next day when you read it, you'll go, oh, and it'll put you right back to where the dream was. I promise that works. And it takes a little practice, right? Because when we wake up, the last thing in the world we want to do is write something down and then try to get back to sleep. But in dream journaling, like if someone was actually helping you, when you woke up, they would be sitting there right there going, third eye, okay, write this real quick. Tell me what you're thinking. Or even better, just tell me the words that are coming to your head and I can write them down. And, afterwards you hear those and they bring back the dreams. But absolutely that works. In fact, it is the method that is used almost across the board for people who are trying to remember dreams. Hold on a second. I saw something. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time. Because of PM meds, I rarely remember dreams. What do you recommend for AM journaling? Same thing, Lisa Trimble. Same thing. You're not going to remember the dreams much, but that stream of conscious BS when you first wake up and it's just that blah down onto the paper, don't try to make it make sense. Just let it go out. Write it, write it, write it, write it, write it. And you will find that when you read it later, it's going to bring you back. I promise it will. It doesn't sound like it will make sense, but it will, I promise. Hey, Rabbit. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Hold on one moment, people. Question. Question. Do you agree that addiction is the 4 C's: craving, compulsion, control, and consequences? It's as good as any other, right? I mean, it's as good as any other. All we're trying to do in everything having to do with addiction is explain the unexplainable, right? I'm not a dumb guy. I got a pretty high freaking IQ, actually. So how is it I go to jail, right, for bank robbery, then get out, do more heroin, and commit more crimes? Makes no sense. No one in their right mind would do that. You know, there was a doctor who was a thoracic surgeon who was shooting dope, right, dilaudid, before he was going in for surgeries. And he got caught. And when they called him on it, he got suspended, and he started using his best friend's script pad to do the same thing and write scripts. Before it was all said and done, he managed to turn this into a 20-year prison sentence. And when you hear him interviewed, he goes, "You think I'm stupid? Okay? Top of my class at law school. I mean, at med school. You think I'm dumb? No. All of it is just trying to explain that which cannot be explained. For whatever reason, as addicts, we feel uncomfortable in our own skin, right? You get that feeling where it's like you can't explain it, but all of a sudden it's like, you know, you need it. And there's only one thing that's going to make that go away. And it's a different thing for you, and it's a different thing for them, and it's a different thing for them. And for me, it's heroin, right? But it's the same feeling. And the 4 C's sound fantastic, but what we're going to be doing is word soup and semantics. And that's really all we can do, right? Because what it comes down to is you got to say no, right? All the great stuff, and we can come out with great, I love good cliches. One of my favorites is, you know what? Stuff that's eating you from the inside, if you don't let it out through your mouth in the form of communication, it will tear a hole through you to get out, right? I love that. I really do. I love that. I think it's a great way to illustrate the fact that we need to connect and talk to one another. But it's all just repackaging the same crap, isn't it? There's only so much that we can talk about. But what I think is a little different here is this. What we're talking about, I'm never really trying to beat home all of the aspects of the steps. And we are a peer support group. We're a group of people who said, you know what? I will be here for you. What is STS Nation? That is Surviving the Survivor. Good friend of the show. Great channel. They do true crime. And because I am a person that robbed a lot of banks and went to federal prison for banks and gun running, sometimes I am brought on as an expert to talk about the system from that side of the equation, right? It's there's always a lawyer who can articulate pretty well what's going on that side. Sometimes they have a bit of a difficult time finding someone that can explain what it's going to be like on the inside without dropping a lot of 4-letter words, right? But I go over there a lot, and I love it. It's a family channel, right? It's Joel and his mom and his wife. It's great. I love it over there. Narcoleptic Chihuahua Productions. It's an honor to have you here every time, man. Make no mistake. Honor to have you here every time. And that is just a fact. People, it's going to bring us to the top of the hour. Squirrel Nut Zipper is still not in the basket. I told you yesterday, people, I really scared the kitty. I mean, she's been playing with me all day, but she's definitely trying to teach me a lesson right around this time of day. Yeah, I got to do better. I slammed the door. It had nothing to do with her, but she was bummed out. So I'm going to go and take care of that kitty. You just realized that you hadn't hit the like button. All of you, shame Anik Alexander really quickly. Boo, boo. Shame on you, Anik. I'm kidding. Anik's one of my favorite people, so I can get away with that. But please do me a favor, people. Do hit that thumbs up. And you know what? If you can bring yourself to do it, stick around and leave a comment like Charlie and Seventh Son and the old timers do, because it actually does push this out a little bit further. And you know what, folks? We need it. Our model's a little different. You know what I'm saying? We don't do it quite like other people. So we'll take the help. God bless each and every one of you. And I will see you on the next one. Captain Tommy Scoville. Bye-bye, everybody.